They told him there were no rooms left until someone else walked in. What they didn't know was that the man they turned away wasn't just any traveler. He was a billionaire with the power to change their fate. The rain poured down in heavy sheets as Mark drove his shiny black SUV up to the entrance of the Horizon Peak Hotel in Miami, Florida. The warm light from the chandeliers spilled onto the wet pavement, giving off a feeling of luxury. For most, the hotel was a peaceful retreat, a place of comfort after a long journey. But tonight, Mark wasn't welcomed in that way. He stepped out of his car, adjusting his perfectly fitted navy suit. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches, with an imposing presence, Mark was hard to miss. His polished shoes echoed softly on the marble floors as he entered the lobby. The scent of fresh lilies filled the air, mixing with the faint smell of coffee from the nearby lounge. Mark approached the reception desk with a calm smile. "Good evening," he said, his voice smooth and friendly. "I need a room for the night. My flight was delayed and I need somewhere to stay before I catch the next one." The desk clerk, a young man with slicked back blonde hair and a name tag that read Ethan, barely looked up. His fingers moved slowly over the keyboard. "Sorry, sir," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "We're all booked up." Mark glanced around the quiet lobby. It wasn't busy at all, and the soft chime of the elevator signaled the arrival of just one other guest. He leaned forward slightly, his smile never fading. "All booked, you say? Not even one room?" Ethan finally looked up, his lips curling into a thin smile. "That's right, nothing available." Before Mark could respond, the revolving doors opened, and a middle-aged couple walked in, their suitcases rolling behind them. Ethan's attitude shifted immediately. His smile widened and his voice became sweet. "Welcome to the Horizon Peak. Do you have a reservation?" The man shook his head, and Ethan nodded enthusiastically. "No problem. Let me check availability." Mark stood there, his calm expression slipping just a bit as he watched Ethan type on the keyboard again, quickly pulling up a room key for the couple. "Enjoy your stay," Ethan said with a bright tone as they walked away. Mark cleared his throat, drawing Ethan's attention back. "I thought you said you were fully booked." Ethan's eyes flickered and his practiced smile faltered for a moment. I meant we don't have anything that fits your needs." Mark felt the weight of the situation settle in. It wasn't about availability or timing. It was something much uglier. The realization hit him, but he didn't show any reaction. Instead, he straightened up, his face unreadable. "Thank you for your time," he said, his voice as steady as when he first arrived. Without saying another word, he turned on his heel and walked back out into the rain. But this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. He slid back into his car, the cool leather seat against his back, and drove away, the hotel's golden lights slowly disappearing in his rearview mirror. As he drove, an idea began to form. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone else who might have faced the same quiet rejection but didn't have the power or voice to challenge it. Mark wasn't going to let this go. Not tonight. Not ever. The windshield wipers moved back and forth in a steady rhythm as Mark drove through the wet streets of Miami. The hotel's rejection kept replaying in his mind, not as a wound, but as fuel. He wasn't angry. Anger drained energy. Instead, he felt something sharper, focused determination. He'd spent years building his empire by outsmarting those who underestimated him, and tonight he would remind himself and others of the importance of dignity and justice. He pulled into a nearby diner parking lot, a simple place with a glowing red sign that read, "Sandy's 24/7 Eats." Inside, the smell of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon greeted him. Mark slid into a booth by the window and pulled out his laptop. A waitress appeared, silently setting down a steaming mug of coffee. He nodded to her in thanks, then started typing quickly. Mark had been keeping an eye on the Horizon Peak Hotel for months. The property was part of a struggling hotel chain, and rumors of it being sold had reached his team during a recent investment meeting. At first, he hadn't thought much of it. It was a small deal compared to his usual global ventures. But tonight changed everything. Within minutes, he had called his attorney, Sarah Mitchell, a sharp negotiator known for closing deals fast. "Sarah, I need the paperwork for the Horizon Peak finalized by sunrise," he said, his voice steady and commanding. "Sunrise?" Sarah echoed, surprised. "Mark, that's ambitious, even for you." "Consider it done, Sarah," he replied, leaving no room for doubt. "Send the paperwork to my phone as soon as it's ready. I'll sign electronically." He hung up and stared out the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. Mark didn't just want to own the hotel. He wanted to make a statement, a reminder that actions have consequences, especially when they're driven by prejudice. The hours passed as he worked through the details, reviewing contracts and planning next steps. By the time the first light of dawn painted the sky in soft orange and pink hues, the deal was sealed. The Horizon Peak Hotel was now his. Mark closed his laptop and took a deep breath. His coffee had gone cold, but it didn't matter. The real work was about to begin. Unfortunately, this hotel hadn't lived up to that standard, but that was about to change, starting today. The tension in the room was thick, but Mark didn't let it linger. "You'll all have the chance to grow with this new chapter," he said, his voice steady. "Except for those who refuse to treat every guest with respect. I will not tolerate prejudice in any form." Ethan's face turned bright red and he mumbled something under his breath. But Mark didn't let him speak. "Your actions last night have no place in the future of this hotel. You're dismissed, effective immediately." Ethan's jaw dropped and the words hung in the air, final and undeniable. The rest of the staff watched, some nodding subtly, others exchanging glances. Mark could feel the shift, like a ripple of understanding spreading through the room. Ethan stormed out of the lobby, his face a mix of anger and humiliation, but Mark remained unshaken. His attention had already shifted to the remaining staff, who now looked unsure but with a hint of hope. He knew change wasn't easy, but it was necessary. "Let me be clear," Mark began, pacing slowly. His voice was firm but not harsh. "This isn't just about last night. This is about the culture of this hotel, the message it sends, and the experience it offers to everyone who walks through those doors." The staff listened closely, their eyes fixed on him. "What happened last night wasn't just an insult to me. It was a reflection of something much bigger, a mindset that has no place here. From now on, this hotel will stand for respect and inclusion." He gestured toward a young woman near the concierge desk. "What's your name?" "Leah," she answered, her voice tentative. "Well, Leah," Mark said with a reassuring smile, "you and the rest of the team will go through comprehensive training to ensure every guest feels valued, no matter who they are or where they come from." Leah nodded, her initial unease softening into understanding. Mark could see the others slowly beginning to relax, their posture less tense, their faces more open. "But let me be clear about something else," he continued. "I'm not here to punish anyone unfairly. Mistakes happen and growth is possible. If you're willing to embrace these changes, there's a place for you here. But if not, it's better for all of us to part ways." He let his words sink in, the silence giving them weight. This hotel has the potential to be more than just a place to sleep or hold events. It can be a beacon, a symbol of what hospitality should be. With the right team, I know we can make that happen. Mark took a step back, surveying the room. The atmosphere had shifted dramatically since his entrance. Where there had once been fear and tension, there was now cautious optimism. "I've already set things in motion," he added. "A new general manager will be here next week, and renovation plans will start immediately. This is a fresh start for all of us." He paused, letting the importance of his words settle in. Then, with a slight smile, he added, "Let's make this hotel something we can all be proud of." The staff exchanged glances, some whispering softly among themselves. Mark could see that his message had struck a chord. The foundation for change had been laid. The following weeks were nothing short of transformative for the Horizon Peak Hotel. Construction crews moved in right away, updating everything from the outdated decor to the hotel's infrastructure. Walls that once felt cold and unwelcoming were painted in warm, inviting colors. The lobby was transformed into a space that felt friendly, not intimidating, a place where anyone could walk in and feel at home. Mark took a hands-on approach, personally overseeing much of the work. He wasn't the type of leader to bark orders from a distance. He was there, engaging with staff and guests alike. His enthusiasm was contagious, motivating the team to embrace the vision he had set out. Training sessions became the heart of the transformation. Experts were brought in to lead workshops on diversity, equity, and inclusion. These weren't lectures, they were conversations. Staff shared their experiences, confronted their biases, and learned how to create an environment of genuine hospitality. Leah, the young concierge Mark had spoken to on his first morning as the new owner, quickly stood out. Her natural empathy and problem-solving skills earned her a promotion to assistant manager. "I never thought I'd get an opportunity like this," she admitted to Mark during one of their check-ins. Mark simply smiled and said, "You earned it." Word of the hotel's transformation spread fast. Former guests, curious about the changes, returned to see for themselves. New guests came, drawn by stories of how the hotel had turned things around. Reviews flooded in, filled with praise, not just for the luxurious accommodations, but for the atmosphere of kindness and respect that now permeated every interaction. The Horizon Peak Hotel's reputation had completely changed. The hotel was now a place of inclusivity and excellence. Mark made sure to highlight the stories of his team members who had grown and flourished through the process, showing the world that change wasn't just possible, it was powerful. It was a crisp morning when Mark stood in the hotel's newly renovated lobby, sipping a cup of freshly brewed coffee. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting light on the polished marble floors and the fresh flowers that brightened every corner. Guests came and went, warmly greeted by the staff. Every interaction was a testament to the hotel's transformation. Leah approached him holding a clipboard. "Mr. Rivers, the final guest survey results are in," she said. "Over 90% of visitors mentioned the hospitality as the highlight of their stay." Mark smiled, setting his cup down. "That's exactly what I like to hear, Leah. It's not just about the building. It's about the people inside." As she walked away to attend to another task, Mark took a moment to reflect. The journey had been more than just a business project. It had been a reminder of the power of standing up for what's right. He thought back to the night he was turned away, the moment that sparked a change, not only in the hotel, but in everyone involved, himself included. Meanwhile, Ethan, the former front desk clerk, had learned his own lessons. News of his dismissal spread quickly, and opportunities in the industry dried up. Eventually, he found work in a much more modest setting, where he was forced to confront his prejudices every day. For the first time, he began to understand the weight of his actions. Back at the Horizon Peak, Mark noticed a family arriving. Parents with 2 young children. The father, a man who looked strikingly similar to Mark, paused to shake his hand. "I read about what you did here," the man said. "It's inspiring." "Thank you." Mark simply nodded, his expression warm. "This place is for everyone now," he replied. "That's how it should have always been." As the family moved on, Mark turned toward the entrance, his heart lighter. He had built many things in his life, companies, fortunes, legacies, But this was different. This was personal. In the end, the Horizon Peak Hotel was more than just a building. It was a symbol, a reminder that change starts with one act of courage and a belief that every person deserves respect,